Hi, my name is Toby Matasar. I am a pastry chef and co-owner with my hubby of Crumble and Flake in Seattle, Washington. I've been working as a pastry chef for almost 30 years now. I know I'm not as young as I look. And in Seattle, we do lots of authentic French pastries. I started my training in New York City, and then I went to Seattle. And in between, I spent some time in Paris. I got to work at a local bakery, and I also went to a school for professional pastry chefs. So again, at Crumble and Flake, the majority of what we make are authentic French pastries. But I also do things with some Southern influence, Australian influence, and then a bunch of other countries. My passion for cooking started at a very young age. My very first memory is I would go into the cupboard and steal my mom's Betty Crocker cookbook. I would steal her Betty Crocker cookbook out of her cupboard, and I would find something that I could make, eat, and clean up all before she got home. So at that age, I was about 9 or 10. We're going to say I made a lot of beverages because that kind of fit the bill. But I continued to experiment, and I have an obsession with cookbooks. So through that experimenting, through all of these cookbooks, I just kept collecting and collecting and collecting. I found my path. I found my career path. And that's how I've made it into restaurants and now to my bakery. Today, I'm going to show you some traditional and non-traditional authentic French pastries. I love developing recipes. So these are recipes that I've learned over the years how to make a little quicker and a little more delicious and a little easier. So they're a little bit more, not as daunting as a lot of French pastries look like they might be. Today, we're going to do what is known as pâte, which, as my girlfriend said, is not a pot of what you wear on your feet. It is a dough-like product that you can make so many different things out of. If you bake it, you can have the cream puffs, you can have eclairs, and if you deep fry it, you can do churros, you can do French colored donuts, you can do French beignets. So it's a really versatile dough. You can do so much with it. And then you can also do savory. So make your filling savory, and then you've got a beautiful savory pastry. But today we're going to do 2 sweet cream puff fillings. First one we're going to do is the most popular at our bakery, Crumble and Flake. It's the vanilla mascarpone cream. This one is thick and rich and oh so yummy. And then the next one we're going to do is a whipped chocolate pastry cream. So I'm going to show you how to make pastry cream. Then I'm going to show you how to make a chocolate. Then we're going to mix it up with that vanilla mascarpone cream, and we're going to have a delightful whipped chocolate pastry cream. And your cream puffs are going to just blow people's minds because they are so yummy. And you'll see why they're the most popular thing at Crumble and Flake. Let's start with those sweet cream puffs. So the pâte, again, we're going to put this in the pot. Again, no shoes though, not what you're wearing on your feet. This is going to be milk, water, butter, sugar, and salt. Now, some people do just water, but I like to do half milk, half water because it makes it a little bit richer. And, who doesn't want their cream puff a little richer? So now we're going to go back to the stove and start cooking this. We want this to come to a full boil, okay? Has to come to a full boil. Don't let it just kind of timidly get there. Let it really get there. You really need super hot liquid when you sift in your flour. Okay, you want like a medium high flame. Well, let's go with medium. Because you do have the sugar in there, and you have the sugar solids in from the butter and then also from the milk. And so you don't want to scorch the bottom of your pan because Even if it's just barely scorched, you should start over because you're going to get that flavor in there. And Lord knows we don't want that flavor in there. Scorched milk, not so good.
Okay, so let them know where you went to and sit.
Okay, yeah. We're going to sit here and wait for this to boil. Again, I am going to stir it a little bit while that's happening so that the bottom doesn't scorch. But we're waiting for this to come to that rolling, full-on boil. So let's watch it for a bit, shall we? All right, we are so close to coming to that boil. So now I'm going to stop stirring because you won't actually see the boil if you're stirring because you're just continuing to cool it down, sort of. So see how it's just starting to simmer? These are the little tiny bubbles I was saying. You don't want these little tiny bubbles, you need a full on boil. Have I reiterated that enough? I'm not sure. I know like that's the third or fourth time I've said that to you all. You're okay. There she goes. Come on. She's so close. It's actually going to start to like almost puff up. Like when you think your cream or your milk's going to boil over. Then what we're going to do once this comes to that full boil, I'm going to turn the heat off, but keep the pot on the heat because I do want some of that residual heat still. And I'm going to sift in my flour. Now the flour, you're going to sift it in 3 parts because if you put it in all at once, you're going to get clumps. And no one wants to bite into a cream puff and then a clump of flour. It's not my style of cream puff. So with the first 2 additions of the flour, I'm going to whisk it because that will help stop having the clumps. And then the last one, I'm going to use the spatula. As you'll see, it's going to come together almost like a dough, and it's going to be really, really thick and hard to stir. Usually I say l'archiboulos, but I won't say that this time. Stirring. Sorry. Goodness gracious, the temperatures are so picky in baking. It's not like cooking where you just see like, it's good, it's boiling, it's good, that. But with baking, you are looking for a certain kind of boil. So you'll see in lots of different recipes, it'll say, I want small bubbles, I don't want to see big bubbles. In this one, you don't want to see small bubbles, you want to wait till you get to the big bubbles. All right, she's good. I can tell because when I put my hand over this, it is way, way hot. And I have like asbestos wounds after all this time. All right, so 1/3. That looks good. 8. And then actually staying big feet. How that get there? Wow. So there's nice and small holes. All right. While I finish this, you can all grab a snack. We'll be right back. And as these different giving other butter. So we're back, and I've just added the second amount. You don't want to watch me sip the flour. It takes forever. But we'll do this last little bit, and this is where I'm going to switch to a spatula. We're just going to push that flour through the sieve. On good, so let's do. Oh, good. Sieve it kind of real small holes. So it really wants to sift slowly. Dates. And I'm trying to go quickly, so I'm just kind of spreading the load. Yeah, a little flour here, a little flour there. Oh my goodness. I feel like I've sifted it well enough. All right, we'll be right back. All right, so now you see how it's just coming up so nice and loosely from the bottom? It's one big dough ball, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dump it in my mixing bowl, because we have to add the eggs. Wow, it's heavy back. Note just so. All right, make sure your stove is off. And now you have to do this right away. So you have to have everything set up. So start adding your eggs right away. And you're going to use a paddle. So you definitely want to use a paddle. Don't go for a whisk. I know you're adding eggs, which seems like maybe a whisk, but no. And now, sir, we'll lower than that. Now add 2 eggs and no more. And what you're looking for is you're looking for the liquid to be absorbed. So it's not going to be shiny anymore, right? The eggs are nice and shiny. Once it's not shiny anymore, you know that's been... Okay, now turn it down a little bit. You suck on with those down too much. Okay, with that 2 more. We want you to turn up the Oreo bit. Remember, this is the 6 eggs plus the egg whites. You want to add extra egg whites because the egg whites have the water from the egg, right? And bite to the water, and then the yolks that has the fat part to it. So you want to add a little more water because that's how these sweet little things rise to the oven, is the seed. So put in a little extra egg whites that kind of just helps the lid. All right, so I did one at a time there, and the last one is going to go in, and then I don't know if you can see, there's a teeny tiny piece of eggshell. Your eggshells are magic, and they will drop to the bottom of your fit tray. So go shake it up, right? But won't shake up the fit tray. All right, and now you have some beautiful pâte. Now, this is pretty liquidy right now. What I like to do with my pâte is I like to refrigerate it, preferably overnight, because then I get a nice thick batter that I can pipe. This is a little thin. All right. This looks awesome to me though. Once it sets up in the fridge, it'll be great. And we'll be right back. So now we're going to make one of my favorite fillings. This is going to be a whipped chocolate pastry cream. So we're going to first start by making plain vanilla pastry cream. And I'm going to show you, like I was saying before, I've got some non-traditional techniques, but they work way faster and they're way easier. And I think you're going to really appreciate this pastry cream recipe, even though it's not quite the true traditional one. So we've got our milk in the pot. Then we're going to put cornstarch. That's our thickener. There are other things you can thicken with. Some people do thicken with flour. I just don't prefer the taste of flour in there. Cornstarch has a much more neutral flavor. And we're going to mix it with our sugar. Because if you were just going to dump that cornstarch into the milk on its own, you would get clumps. Again, enough with the clumps. So now I'm mixing it in with the sugar so that it's more of a nice combined mixture here. Okay. So I haven't turned the heat on yet. I'm just adding the sugar and the cornstarch. You can also use like tapioca starch. You can use arrowroot. So you have other choices if you don't have tapioca at home. I mean, yeah, if you don't have corn at home, you can go for the tapioca. But again, in a pinch, you can just use regular all-purpose flour. Okay, so now we're going to put the heat on, not too high again. Because this time, you actually do not want to see any boil, nothing, 0 bubbles. What I'm doing is I just want to heat it up until my finger can stand it for a second. Maybe 2 or 3, but I don't want you to burn your finger. But you're just looking to heat it enough so that you can temper your yolks. So I've got my yolks in a bowl here. We're doing just a little batch. So I just have a little bit of yolks. Okay. You're going to start to see some steam. That's usually when it's about ready. Nope. I can still hold my finger in there plenty long. So definitely wash your hands before you do pastry, because you will be touching that milk. All right, while we wait for this to heat up, you can go grab another snack. We'll be right back. See, actually that's bad because you can see bubbles, and I told everyone don't lie about it. So I think that picture actually is not. It's done. Yeah. Okay. I actually have. No, I don't have to start over. All right. So I think while y'all were gone, I made it a little too hot. I saw a few bubbles. So I'm taking it off the heat, whisking it. All right. Now I'm going to temper it with my yolks. I temper my yolks with this. I did this chunky out. Well, remember, tempering, we're just adding a little bit of that warm liquid. We don't want to cook the eggs. I mean, you would know if this were too hot if those eggs started to cook right away. Then you sit down, you eat your scrambled yolks, and then you start over. All right. Let's make sure we have a spat. That's short for spatula. So we're going to put this back in. Like a whisk. Or so you get some. And you really want to get all that goodness back in there. All right. Just about going. Oh, that was, a little extra for the birds. Okay, now we are... Okay, you're going to keep it pretty low. And when this is ready, it's going to come to a full boil because you need to cook the starches. You need to cook that flour or that cornstarch, whatever you use to thicken it has to get cooked. And you know it's cooked when it comes to a boil. But at this point, don't make your heat too high and definitely stir the whole time because it's going to get thick pretty quickly. Depending on your heat and your pan, some pans conduct heat faster, slower, all that goodness. But you'll know when it starts to come together. See, I still have liquid on my whisk, but then I'll start to have like a little bit of clumps on my whisk. So then I'll know it's really starting to come together as a gorgeous pastry cream. And essentially you're making pudding here. So, everybody likes a good pot of pudding. And we are going to actually make this chocolate pastry cream because why not add a little chocolate love to it, right? So we're going to take this pastry cream when it's ready and we're going to put it through that beautiful sieve into the chocolate. You want to strain it because you don't want to get any tiny little pieces of cooked egg that might have gotten in there. All right, come on. She needs to boil. I call it pop. Oh, that's actually a little too high. All right, you're waiting for her to pop. Just gonna pop. I can feel it. See, there she starts. There's the bubbles. She's popping. Whisk. Let her pop a little bit more. See, it cooled down enough that I need to keep stirring. Still a little thin. Let's let her pop just a little bit more. Okay, she's good to go. I can see the thickness starting. Now it looks thin now, but that's because it's warm. You're going to be using this when it's cool. And to make chocolate pastry cream is incredibly scientific. I'm going to put a sieve over my chocolate, and I'm going to add that hot vanilla. Well, it's not really vanilla because I didn't add vanilla yet. So plain pastry cream into my chocolate and let it melt. How scientific is that? See, I promised you I would show you how to make an easier, faster pastry cream. So put it in the sieve. Scrape, scrape, scrape. In every last drop. Great. So now, oh good. It's beautiful. Now we are just gonna get that pastry cream over. Make sure you get it over all the chocolate so all the chocolate starts to melt. You want like an even layer of chocolate and then an even layer with the pastry cream. And then you're gonna let this sit for a few minutes while that chocolate gets nice oozy goozy and melts. Then you're gonna whip them all together. And there you have it, chocolate pastry cream. So let's just get, so you can see there's little tiny bits of egg in there. That's just going to happen. And then scrape this spatula clean because on the bottom, some of that pastry cream sticks. I bet you this was hot enough that that chocolate's already melting. So let's just scrape this goodness off the bottom. Oops. Make sure we got all goodness from there. Yep. All that good there. I like to always have a bowl on the side to put my dirty stuff in because I hate a dirty towel. All right. Now you can see it. See, the chocolate was already melting. And I'm just whisking it together. And you've now made chocolate pastry cream or chocolate pudding if you like it nice and thick and rich, which I do. You could smell this. It's like childhood memories. The really big bowls. I wasn't going to say that. Little tiny cups of chocolate pudding. Look at that. Oh, do I love that. All right. There you have it. We'll be right back. All right. We're back. And we are now going to make my favorite filling. This is the most popular one. The Crumble and Flake. It's the vanilla mascarpone cream. It's sort of my signature cream. People absolutely love this. I've had friends actually just request a bowl of this to eat with a spoon. No joke. So we're just adding a little bit of salt. Always add a little salt to your pastries. I know you don't want a salty pastry, but it enhances the flavor, right? So why shouldn't we be enhancing the flavor of our pastry? And then we're going to add a little bit of vanilla paste. Okay, that was maybe a lot of it, but we like it very vanilla-y. So what we're going to do is we're going to whisk this. This is mascarpone cream, whipped cream, and, well, not whipped yet, heavy cream, and powdered sugar. That powdered sugar, remember, powdered sugar is sugar with some cornstarch in it. What's cornstarch? A thickener. So by putting the powdered sugar in there versus just plain sugar, we're going to get a little bit thicker mascarpone cream. And I'm going to turn this on, and you're not going to be able to hear me talk, so we'll be right back. That's just it. And we're back, and it has whipped up into, oh, look at that. I mean, that is nice and thick, and who doesn't want their cream puff filled with this lovely, lovely little product we have. So this is the vanilla mascarpone cream. If you can see in there, there's lots and lots of those vanilla seeds. So yes, using a fresh vanilla pod would be great. Having that vanilla pod soaking in a little bit of brandy or vodka to make your own vanilla extract. Then they get nice and plump. So that would be a really, really nice way to do it. But I also know that vanilla beans are getting crazy expensive. They have been for years. So I do sometimes just grab a little thing of vanilla bean paste, and it works almost like a charm. And there we have it, vanilla mascarpone cream. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, we're going to mix it in with a little bit of our chocolate pastry cream, and we're going to have a whipped chocolate pastry cream. So good. Because if you filled a cream puff straight with that chocolate pastry cream, I don't know about you, but like one bite and I'm done. But who wants to only take one bite of their cream puff? Everybody wants to eat the whole cream puff. So you sort of like water it down with a little bit of your vanilla pastry cream, and it just gets that much thicker and richer, and ooh la la, is so good. So there we have it. We have the cream puffs and our beautiful filling. Thanks so much. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, and now pièce de résistance. We're going to make that chocolate pastry cream and the vanilla mascarpone cream into whipped chocolate pastry cream. And all you're going to do is take equal parts pastry cream and vanilla mascarpone cream and mix them together. How awesome is that? And I love to measure everything. And I measure using grams. So I have my scale here. There's so many different little home scales. They're not that expensive. I think it's worth the effort, because when you're actually measuring out recipes, every gram counts. It really does. That is the exact science of pastry. And so grams go a lot smaller than ounces. There's 28.35 ounces in 1 gram. So 28.35 times to be off. So here we go. We're going to just do equal parts. So it's however much you want. I'll leave a little bit of the chocolate pudding, because I have a feeling some people are going to want to try the chocolate pudding. All right, we have that amount. Now I'm going to tare it. It's one of the beautiful things about, make sure you get one, it tears, because you want to be able to go this, 0, this, go back to 0, and you can just keep adding to the bowl. So awesome. All right. Perfect. This was... I meant to do that. That's going to be the extra yummy chocolate. So now, literally, you want to fold it. Keep that rich thickness from the mascarpone cream. It actually looks kind of pretty like this. If you want to do just sort of a, look at that, it's bite to bite. All right, we'll mix it the whole way. But you can see how it's already getting lighter. So the chocolate won't be so rich that you can't finish your cream puff. Look at that. Stuff was so good. This, you definitely would sit down and eat with a spoon.
I mean, with them, not.
All right, I'm going to finish it with whisk, because I can see there's some clumps of pastry cream. So now that I've gotten it folded, the whisk will keep the air in there. But it'll get rid of those clumps. And if not, then you just have, like the little extra pastry cream when you're eating your cream puff. It all goes wrong. Look at that. Oops. Bound to happen, especially to this chef. So here you go. Chocolate whipped cream. All right, now we're going to fill them. This is obviously everyone's favorite part. So we're going to take some of the vanilla mascarpone cream and put it in one bag. And then we'll use the whipped cream, the chocolate pastry whipped cream, in another bag. And the way I like to do the bags is get a tip about that. It's called a number 4. So if you look at your tips, there's this little tiny number on the tip. The very last number, that's the size of your tip. So for cream puffs, I like to use a number 4. This is a number 7. That's what I use actually. Sorry. Number 4 was for the fillings. To pipe the actual cream puff, I'd use the number 7. It's which I've already used because we already had our cream puffs done. So stuff a little bit of the bag inside here. That will help close it up when you're filling it. And I like to do it over some kind of cup or pitcher. It just holds it open for me. It's a lot easier to fill. So we're going to put that vanilla pastry cream. Wow. Look at that. This was however many minutes later and it's still totally a visit shape. Alright. Alright, so now our vanilla one is done. And now we're going to do our chocolate. Here we go. So again, push some of that plastic in there. Now I'm using disposable ones, but I definitely recommend using non-disposable. So if you can trust yourself to wash them really well. It's not that I can't trust myself. It's just, for these curse. All right, now fill this one up with that luscious chocolate goodness. Yum. These are very vintage. Usually I get like 12 or 16 inch. All right. And this is how we're going to do it. So wrap your bag around like that and then put it in your hand like this and squeeze. And then, well, it's going to poke gently. And then 1, 2, woo! Woo! There you go. Here's 1. Poke. Again, gently. Fill her up. Right. 2 of the chocolate. Now, we're going to do our vanilla. This. And this isn't starch. Very, again, small poke. So you have a hole about that big. Okay, so it's not going to totally come out, but might come out a bit more when you need it.
The stuff is so good.
All right. Here are your cream puffs, and you can put a little cocoa on the chocolate ones and a little bit powdered sugar on the vanilla mascarpone ones to tell them apart. Or you can just serve it to your guests and say, here, you get to pick, and you don't know which one you're getting, but they're all delicious. So it wouldn't matter. They're all completely delicious. And you can do these as a savory item as well, which is a lot of fun. So take your mascarpone cream, add some chopped herbs, add some lemon zest, you can add some spices in there, and then you've got a whole nice little hors d'oeuvre. So you can have these as hors d'oeuvres or, appetizer. Just fill it. You can take some smoked salmon, chop it up, put it in like a mascarpone cream. Mascarpone, by the way, is an Italian cream cheese. Super creamy, super thick, fantastic to mix with the whipped cream, as you saw the gorgeous results. So there you have it. We've got our cream puffs. Hope you enjoyed.